Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? I wanted to dive into the numbers when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers, specifically the three-pointers and their 3 points made, their 3 points attempt, their 3 points average as a whole. I wanted to look into the numbers because we all know the hottest topic over the city through the past 2 games is the three-point shooting. And Brett Brown stating that he wants the team to hunt threes. It has people running all around, going crazy and going nuts. But when you look at the numbers, it's not that ridiculous what they are doing. The point is, and I've been stressing this over the last few days, they're not knocking down their shots. They're not executing. The players on the floor are not doing enough, and that's why it looks worse than what it is. It comes down to actually putting the basketball through the hoop. You know how that works. You know how you score points. You shoot the basketball and it goes in, right? It goes into the basket and it goes through the hoop. That's the problem right now. Because when you dive through these 3-point numbers, it's not that ridiculous on where the 76ers fall. But before we do this, I want to let you know about the SeatGeek promo code that I have, which can save you money. If you are looking to buy tickets to go to a game, Sixers, Flyers, or any other team out there, you can use the promo code BROADS for $20 off. That's parking. That's beer. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. So when it comes to 3-point percentage, the Sixers shoot 35.5% from 3, which is 17th in the league, but it's tied with the Boston Celtics at 16th and the Charlotte Hornets at 15th. So essentially, they are the middle of the pack when it comes to knocking down threes. It was better than that, way better than that, before this tough 2-game stretch where they shot abysmal from behind the arc. So essentially, they are the middle of the pack when it comes to 3-point percentage. Let's move on to 3-point attempts per game, which is 30.1. 33s a game. You can round that down. That's 25th in the NBA. Out of 30 teams, of course. What I'm trying to get at is this narrative that the Sixers, they're shooting way too many threes. They can't be doing this. Brett Brown stated they're hunting threes, and that's all they're doing. It's not right. It's not right. 25th in the NBA in 3-point attempts per game. And when you look along the teams, you have the Houston Rockets and you have some teams up at the top that are shooting an obnoxious amount. But for the most part, it ranges from about 33 to 30. In that range is what the NBA is all about in 2020. They are shooting the standard amount of 3-point attempts per game. What does it come down to? The players not putting the ball through the hoop. For example, when it comes to that Pacers game, they shot 18 of 50 uncontested shots. We are talking about NBA players missing uncontested shots, shooting under 50%. 18 of 50, significantly under 50%. That is a problem. That is on the players not delivering. They get paid to make the shots. I'm not talking about shots where there's 3 people in their face. This is uncontested shots I'm talking about. And this is just against the Pacers. But my point is the team is not executing. The shots are there. They have to make them fall. They need to deliver. Now, the Sixers make about 10 threes per game, which is, when I look here on my stats, 23rd in the NBA, 10.7 threes per game, which isn't very good. You would like more than that. But when you look at the last few games, the Pacers, they made 6. When you look at the Dallas Mavericks, they made 9, which is under their average. So once again, not executing. You look at their average. When they're doing stuff below their average, that is on them for not scoring the ball. What else is there when it comes to these threes? 25th in the league when it comes to what percentage of shots are from 3. 34.3% of their shots are from behind the arc, so 25 out of 30. I guess I just get frustrated because there's this narrative because Brett Brown stated that he wants the team to hunt threes. They are doing what's normal in this league. And when you look at the talent, Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, Mike Scott, these are players that throughout their career can statistically shoot better than what they are shooting. Not so much Josh Richardson. I think he's pretty much giving you what he is at the end of the day. But Al Horford can shoot better from three, absolutely. Tobias Harris, he's given us 1 of 5. He went through a good portion and a good set of games where he was delivering, but it's not that. It hasn't been that since the fall down. So I'm talking about this recent stretch of ugly three-point shooting. Those players have to step up and knock down the opportunities that are in front of them. When the Pacers shoot 38%, there's an opening. The door is open for the Sixers to win the game. And when it comes to the defense, I think that has to be 180% all the time, based off of the way that this team can be when shooting is bad. When shooting is really bad, they need to do better defensively. You have to become elite from everyone, because that's the only way they're going to hold themselves into basketball games. Oh, it's something else. But then you look at the free throws. For example, against the Pacers, 2 free throws in the last 5 minutes. There needs to be a happy medium here. They score in the paint, they score in transition, and they shoot the threes. There needs to be a good happy medium. You need to get to the free throw line. When you see the other team has a little bit of foul trouble, you got to keep attacking. You got to go to the charity stripe. There needs to be a mix. I'm just saying, statistically, when it comes to this team from behind the arc, I think that there's this false narrative going around that they shoot way too many threes and all of this. They don't. They don't shoot way too many threes. They shoot below average amount of threes when it comes to this league. They're just not knocking them down enough when they are wide open. That's where my concern is. I'm concerned with them not knocking down the wide open looks. 18 of 50 uncontested shots not being drilled? How do you win that way? You don't. And then you can always dial back to Ben Simmons and what happened with him in the second half. And we all know that Brett Brown took the ball out of his hands, but Ben Simmons lost his aggressiveness in that second half. You saw the Pacers defense step up. You saw them play differently. You saw the wall. It's about that wall. That wall Ben Simmons is totally afraid of. He lost his aggressiveness, so Brett Brown said, okay, Josh Richardson, you be the guy then, because Ben shut off in the second half. He didn't shut off because Brett Brown took the ball out of his hands. He stopped playing the way he did in the first half, so Brett Brown took the ball out of his hands. It's possible to be frustrated and annoyed and bothered with Ben Simmons, but still not want to trade him, and that's where I'm at. Because you see both extremes. What he did in the first half was electric, downhill, unbelievable. One of a kind. His transition game is sickening. It can't be stopped. But when things slow down, it can be stopped. Put the wall up. It kills me. It kills me that it's a constant conversation with this guy, but it is. But as I stated, to me, it's not a trade him thing. Because I know when he's 27, 28, 29, he's going to be a beast. But of course, no one has the patience to think about that. But I know when he's in the more prime of his career, it's going to be a scary sight based off of this being a grown man's league. To see the fourth quarter go like this, Josh Richardson, 17 points. Raul Neto, 7 points. Tobias Harris, 2 points. That's so bad. It's so bad. So for Ben to have back-to-back nights where he doesn't score in the fourth quarter, blows my mind. Blows my mind. But then you look at what he does defensively, right? First in the NBA in steals. Fifth in deflections. And going back to the offensive side, fifth in assists. It's such a unique thing. It really is. It's so unique and it's so frustrating and it hurts. It hurts. But I mentioned that fourth quarter scoring in Neto, and that makes me think of the bench. For Furkan Korkmaz to log 20-plus minutes and for James Ennis to get no time whatsoever, I got to look at Brett Brown and say that can't happen. In a game where You need some defense. You need some grittiness to keep the squad involved. For Furky to get that many minutes when he was having a poor game, you got to have James Ennis get some time. It would be different if Furkan Korkmaz had 15 points in the game and was knocking down threes, but he wasn't. He was killing the team. He was hurting the team. And speaking of killing the team, Mike Scott. Oh, Mike Scott is so frustrating. The thing is, we need to think about, is he even worthy of playing? But I don't think Matisse Thybulle has been good at all since coming back from injury. And what, are you going to slide Matisse into the shooting guard role, or not the shooting guard role, the small forward role, and slide Tobias Harris into the fourth spot in the lineup and put Mike Scott on the bench? I think Elton Brand has to make a move sooner rather than later. That bench piece needs to come before the trade deadline. They got to find a way to get more production out of this bench, and it will only help the starting lineup as well, because with Joel Embiid out, Mike Scott can't play like this. I don't even think Matisse Thybulle can play the way that he's been playing. That won't help this team. So a move needs to be made sooner rather than later. And I was reading an Athletic article about the Sixers after this Pacers game, and they show where Al Horford is during a specific late possession. And there's no way in hell Brett Brown dialed this up. This goes on Al Horford just being in a weird spot at the wrong time, and he's trying to fight in the post on the low block, but it didn't make any sense when it comes to what was happening with the ball and the ball movement. Like, Al Horford... That can't happen. That can't happen. And there's just no way in hell that Brett Brown dialed that up. I know the haters right now want to say absolutely it was Brett Brown, but no, I mean, there's just no way. There is no actual way. That was just Al Horford making a mental mistake, and it was no good at all. I can't see a coach dialing up that type of play. But I'm not blind, okay? I'm not blind. There's a funk going on. There's a problem occurring. They're not molding like we expected them to mold. And after 7 or so years, a message can run dry, and Brett Brown hasn't been doing good enough. At the end of the day, he has not been doing good enough this season. He had an opportunity this year to really make a run at this thing, and he had a good chance. And to this point, it has not been delivered, and that goes on him without a doubt. But this is why I get frustrated when it comes to the three-point shooting thing. To think a new coach comes in here, and for these players to be missing these wide-open shots, Mike Scott and Tobias Harris, if those players have the same shots, it just goes on them of making it or not. Does the new coach have the impact on them missing or making uncontested shots? That's where I have my mindset on. That doesn't change anything. Once again, that's not me saying Brett is having a good year. I'm absolutely not saying that. I see it. I have eyeballs. I watch the Sixers. I see that Brett Brown is not having a good season so far with the Sixers, and they are underachieving absolutely. But I guess it's just the way I think when it comes to basketball, and it's been a statement that I live and die by. The players matter 95% in basketball, 5% coach. So if a new coach comes in and Mike Scott's missing all of his threes, and if a new coach comes in and Tobias Harris is missing all of his threes, what are you going to do? Is the coach going out there to make the shots? Oh. I hated the last possessions. I really did. The prayer Josh Richardson play. Whew. Then you had a little Ben Simmons floater. There was a rebound. Tobias Harris got the rebound. He tried to do something with it. It ends up getting turned over, and then the Pacers go on the other way. They run down the floor and make some noise. Get the energy involved. The late possessions are just so brutal. So brutal. I wonder if a big move is going to be made. I know the fans want a big move to be made, whether that's Elton Brand getting fired, which I don't think that's a realistic thing, whether it's Brett Brown being fired, which I think is more realistic, or a bigger trade. I just don't see that happening. The most realistic thing for me that I see is Brett Brown getting canned. See, I don't think you move pieces around until you fire the head coach and see if someone else can figure it out first. That's how I see it. There would be no reason to move all of these pieces around and keep Brett Brown or move all the pieces and trade and fire Brett Brown. To me, you do the coach first. That's the thing. But with where they are in the season right now, is that the best option? You can argue that it can't get much worse, right? Look at what the team has been providing. Can it get much worse? It's a fine way to look at it. But another switch up, another change up, doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to react the right way. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to fit with this new coach. Or the new coach can even dial up a game plan that will work with this very unique roster construction. People assume that Brett Brown being gone fixes everything, and that certainly might not be the case. So we'll see how this goes. I think everyone's just going to play this year out the way that it is. And Elton Brand will get bench depth. He will get shooters for the bench as soon as possible. And then once the year plays out, whatever it plays out like or however it plays out, after that, it will be readdressed in the offseason. Major moves will happen once the Sixers do not win the NBA title, because you would be living in la-la land if you believe that this team can win a title. See, I changed my expectations to help myself, to help my sanity. I do it because it changes my emotions after each game and whatnot. I do it so my heart doesn't get broken. We see it. The team is not playing well enough to think anything about them seriously when it comes to a legit chance to do anything. So from that standpoint, kick your feet up, you get annoyed, you laugh at some things that you know is going to happen, and from there it is what it is. Still no news on Joel Embiid. I'm waiting for that. Now, I assumed once I heard 1 to 2 weeks that we wouldn't hear anything for a little bit of time. I would assume that this medical staff and this team would hold everything off for as long as possible. I think they gave you that they will be reevaluated, or he will be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks, just to keep the fan base happy, because it's close, right? It's not so long, but they know deep down that he will miss a significant amount of time. I think that's pretty damn obvious from the jump. They give you that short amount of time to be reevaluated to keep everyone engaged. Okay, he'll be reevaluated in about 1 or 2 weeks. It won't be too bad. They'll figure something out. But we know it's going to be a good portion. A good portion. And who knows what he's been doing. You got Matisse Thybulle getting Chick-fil-A and Popeyes for the team plane after we all had this big offseason of Joel Embiid eating all this unhealthy food and drinking 17 million milkshakes. And here are the players eating all this Chick-fil-A on the plane. Not that they're not allowed to eat Chick-fil-A, all right? I'm not saying that these people need to eat and have this temple-type body, but Of course that happens after we had this big offseason about Joel Embiid not staying in shape and our players out of shape. I guess it's really just Joel Embiid. I can't say our players as a whole. But damn, it would have been a little bit easier if they were eating a nice pasta meal or some chicken parm or something. Something a little bit healthier. Anyway, I digress. The blood's boiling thinking about this team. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's so many questions. We're all annoyed. We're underachieved. And now we look at this year, and this is why, not to get too crazy heavily involved here with the Phillies, but this is why I feel no optimism going into the Philadelphia Phillies season this spring and going into the summer. I've now been fooled a bunch of times. This year alone. The Phillies last season, like this past season that just occurred, the Eagles with the Super Bowl hopes, and now the 76ers. Fool me 3 times, shame on me. So when I look at the Phillies this upcoming season, when I look at any Philadelphia team moving forward, I will not be fooled again. I will not get sucked into thinking anything about a team until they prove it to me first. That's my mindset moving forward with any team that I cover, with any squad that I'm watching, with any preview going into a season. Show me first. I'm not believing crap until it is displayed on a court, on a field, on the ice, on anything. Fool me 3 times. Shame on me for the next. I won't do it. So there you have it. Those are the numbers when it comes to three-point shooting. Those are the numbers when it comes to Ben Simmons' amazing first half, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a whomping 4 points in the second with 0 in the fourth quarter. 2 games in a row, may I add. Josh Richardson, 17 points in the fourth quarter. There's your numbers. I'm just giving you the information. You can break it down however you like in your own mind. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I will see you next time.